Thank you all for being here Tuesday morning. That means it's time for the UpViral Co-Pilot Show. I am your host, Mitch Aunger. Good to see you. A little bit of a pre-show already. I've welcomed most people. Welcome Johan and Nestor's here. Good for you, Lenny, and everybody else. I already had boo-boos with audio. So those of you watching the Facebook live stream probably saw my Facebook or my audio boo-boos. Last week, we covered a good bit of testing. I was actually rewatching the show this morning, trying to catch up with what we did last week, because my brain has gone to the point where I don't remember squat anymore. And I kind of realized that it was a disaster. We covered a lot of stuff last week in last week's show, and now I've got hair. We have cats in this house, and I typically get cat hair all over the place, and my nose is really itchy for some reason. I bet it's cat hair. But last week's show, see, it's still itchy. Last week's show was about testing, and I decided in the middle of the show that I talked so much about a whole bunch of different things that I had to do part 2 today. Now, if you don't go back and watch last week, I'm not going to cover a bunch of the stuff that I covered last week, but I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a review. What I wanted to do was to set up a brand new campaign to show you how to test that. Derek says, common problem here with cat hair. You should see my clothes. I ought to stop wearing black because one of our cats is gray and white, and I just get tons of hair. She's not allowed in while I'm wearing this shirt. I can't wear this shirt around her, otherwise it will never be clean. Last week's show, testing. We are talking about testing cat hair. That's what I almost said. Testing your campaigns when you create one. One of the most important things in my book, as I mentioned before, I have had clients contact me saying, Mitch, something's not working. The points aren't adding up, or people aren't getting this or aren't getting that. And so I get to charge them a lot of money to come in and do the testing that they should have done. It's very important that you go through testing. And yes, I still test brand new campaigns, even if I've created them from a clone, because you still want to make sure everything works. You got to make sure that the custom domains work. You got to make sure that the points work. You got to make sure that all the data is going over to your autoresponder or the client's autoresponder or whatever you've got set up. Testing is critical. All of my students will tell you that I harp on this time and time again. It comes from my software development background. I spent 32 years at McDonnell Douglas / Boeing here in St. Louis. Software was my thing. We developed software, and in order to do software, you have to do testing. And if you don't do testing well, then errors creep in and things don't work, and then you're in scramble mode. So I'm a big proponent of testing, and that background is why it is so important to me. Entrepreneurs like yourselves or brand new small businesses, they've never been through that, right? They launch a page and maybe they put an opt-in on it and they hope that the emails get collected. They're used to doing that kind of stuff. But because we are incentivizing people and tracking what they are doing and awarding entries in a contest or points for whatever kind of campaign you are running, we have to make sure that those work. Otherwise, people will not trust us. We want them to trust us, right? And so this, I harp on this. I talk about it all the time. You've got to do testing. It's not fun, but please do the best job you can in doing testing. Okay? Now, how many of you people out there actually test your campaigns? Be brave, raise your hand. If you don't do testing, that's okay. I understand it. Yeah, I really shouldn't put the comments up here because it's distracting. Steve from Thailand says, a new domain for you, entrepreneurs.com. Steve's probably out there going to the GoDaddy and reserving that. That's very interesting. Entrepreneurs.com. That threw me off. Thanks, Steve. That's funny. I love it when people are funny with me in the Copilot shows. It's great to have the interaction. Sometimes I do Facebook Lives and I get crickets. And I would play the cricket sound. I need to have the cricket sound right there in front of me. I can do the horse. Oh, man. You got to hear that, right? There you go. All right. The horse. The horse is a horse, of course, of course. So nobody's raising their hand one way or the other. Please also make sure you change to everyone. I'm going to do it right now, as a matter of fact, in the chat. Send it out to everybody. Nobody's raising their hand. Nobody does testing, and nobody's brave enough to say they don't do testing. All right. Steve says yes. Thank you. One person says yes. How many, let me ask you the question differently. How many of you, Scott says, testing saves a lot of money. I'm ringing the bell for Scott. Yay, Scott. That is the right thing. I do need a cricket button, Derek says. On our previous campaigns for our book, we tested, it's been a while though. Michael Peters, yes, says, I should test, but I don't do enough of it. I need to outsource. Yes, but that also means that you have to have a process for testing, don't you? Larry says, I don't test like you do, but I should. That's why I'm here. Bless your heart. Thank you, Larry. Good to see you. All right, so what I want to do, Darmod says, I did test my first campaign a little, but I will do more next time. And Derek says what Larry said. Yes, it's common. I get it. I understand. And it's not fun. It's kind of like right now I'm doing taxes. My taxes for 2020, they're due like on the 15th. And today's like the 12th. Oh my gosh. And my accountant is like, Mitch, finish your setup. Send me documents. Do all this stuff. I hate taxes. I'm not fond of testing, but I freaking know how important it is. Hey, Kiki, it's okay that you're late. I'm doing the usual chitter chatter. By the way, in case you don't know, you can watch us live on YouTube. You can watch us live on Facebook and here in Zoom. Zoom, of course, is the best place because we're interacting. But there's also recordings in each one of those places. And the recordings are in your UpViral Learning Center. So make sure you go back to your Learning Center and watch a show. If you're bored, don't go to Netflix. Go to your Learning Center and learn something new. Also, please invite somebody to the show. All right, so testing. Now, there's two things that I want to make sure we accomplish today. And number one is testing your campaign. And number two is split testing. So we covered a lot of stuff last week's show about testing. All right, and what I want to do is I'm going to quickly jump in. Let's see that I got everything set up right before I show you my desktop. Because I can make mistakes just like everybody else. All right, so Zoom says I'm sharing. I'm sure. Oh, I wanted to ask one more question. Is there anybody in the live stream watching right now out of the 6,000 people who are here? Small joke. Big joke. Do widgets. Are you doing widgets with your UpViral campaign? Or are you doing UpViral hosted landing pages? Testing is important in both, but especially important in widgets. Anybody? Who's doing widgets? And if so, why? Steve says barf. Does that mean no to widgets? Good for you, Steve. Let me just give you a hint that something fun is coming. I got an update this morning. Something fun is coming. Lenny said, what did you say? You are crashing the server. Steve says, no widgets. Kiki said, I was trying to do widgets in WordPress. They're actually not hard in WordPress. When I do testing on widgets, I always do them in WordPress because it's much easier in WordPress actually than some of the other tools. And we probably should try to test that today. And I wasn't really thinking about that before we started. Like I said, I was reviewing last week's show and watching what a disaster that was. Disaster in that we covered a lot of stuff, right? And Mitch wasn't totally prepared to show you everything that I really need to show you, and I picked the wrong campaign to show you with. But anyway, it is what it is. And we're going to keep going with this particular campaign. Brandon asked, is the last show recorded? Where's Deborah when I need her? and Brandon, Deborah's one of our faithful listeners. She's not been here the last 2 weeks, so I'm hoping that everything is okay in her life. She's usually here every week. But yes, the shows are always recorded. They're in your UpViral Learning Center. They're on YouTube. They're on Facebook. And so, yes, they are there inside. And since I'm sharing my screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the dashboard, since some people are surprised that to know that it's there. But if you go to the Learning Center on your UpViral dashboard, the Copilot shows are right here. So if you do start watching, you can see all of them listed here. And if I scroll all the way down, you should see episode 69, testing before and split testing during your campaign. So Brandon, there you go. There's last week's show. For those of you who haven't seen anything yet in the Copilot shows, I do highly advise you to go watch episode 62. This is one of the best shows I've done. I'm proud of this one, but it's important. And I mentioned it last week as well. If I click on play and then do pause, I'm going to skip through, because one of the things that we talk about is this process. And watch this section. I'm at 24 minutes. Watch this section of this video where I talk about the different pages, as well as the difference between direct traffic and referred traffic. That's important for your testing. This is one of the critical things that breaks, is when people don't test the referrals. Campaign after campaign comes to me and says, Mitch, my referrals aren't counting. And we're going to test that briefly today. Whew. All right, shall we get started with this? Now, this campaign, as a reminder, if you didn't see last week's show, and I laugh because this wasn't the best one to choose, this is a clone of a client's campaign that was a challenge. So they did a 5-day challenge in August, and we used UpViral, and UpViral is really cool for doing challenges. I have not really taught that to anybody. I don't know that that'll be a Copilot show thing, because that's kind of a process that I'm selling to clients. You can sort of steal some of the ideas if you watch this. But in this particular campaign, we had a lot of incentives. We had a lot of different custom actions. We had several different design templates. And so you'll see quite a few things in here that you may or may not have in your existing campaign. If you go, let's see, I'm going to close some windows here because I don't know what's in here. You see, I've got quite a few things. I'm working on a shootout. Here's my new cmitch.com. Let's see, August Unlikely Hero is the one that we are on. I even forgot why I'm coming here. This is what happens to my brain. And no, I'm not on drugs. Let's see. I'm going to close that window. Forgot why I came here. Oh, such is life. In this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the Actions tab. And the Actions is the place where the points are set. Again, in this particular campaign, you see a lot of custom actions. And you see the problem I had last week where this won't let me scroll down for some reason. There we go. And so the key thing is the points down here at the bottom. In this particular campaign, we are doing 50 points for a sign up and 500 for a referral. Okay, everybody understands the difference between those two, right? I'm moving the chat out of the way. You guys understand the difference between sign up and referral. If you don't get this, oh, thank you, Larry. Larry says it was something about testing referral traffic. Derek says yes. Now, this is, as I mentioned, this is one of the most critical pieces, is the difference between the sign up and the referral. This referral sign up is the only thing that people can earn more than once in UpViral. All of these points down here, they can only earn one time. All these points up here, they can only earn one time. This referral sign up, they can earn multiple times. And this is what is gold for you. So you want to make sure this works. And so we're going to test for that. This diagram lays that all out. So that's that 500 points is when somebody comes in through this green part of this viral loop. Okay, so that's where those 500 points come in. Betty comes in directly. She opts in. She goes to the thank you page. She does social sharing, or she copies the link or whatever, because everybody gets their own unique link, right? We all know that. Brandon says referral sign up means someone clicked on a unique URL and opted in. Yes, right? So I'm walking through it. Betty comes in the front end. She opts in. She gets to the thank you page, which has her unique link on it. She copies it. She shares it. She posts it on Pinterest, Facebook, wherever. And all of those people that are coming in are tracked to her. So if Joanne comes in through this referral and signs up, I'm sorry, I'm not going there. Betty got 50 points for signing up. Joanne gets 50 points for signing up. And Betty gets 500 points for referring Joanne. Okay. Now, this is where the gold is, because Betty can refer Paula. Betty can refer Mitch. Betty can refer Brandon. And every time she does that, she gets these points. Okay, everybody's got that. That's the key to UpViral. And if you don't test that when you build your campaign, you're going to be in big trouble. All right, Brandon says, got it. Now, one of the things that you're going to do when you do testing is that you are going to make sure these points work. So you got to have in your head what all the points are. Now, UpViral will show some of these points. Well, it'll show all of these points. But it doesn't show the sign up or the referral unless you specifically put it on the page. You may or may decide not to have that on there. I advise you to put these on your opt-in, on your sharing page, so that people understand this. If you don't explain the gold to them, they're not going to go do it. Now, we also know that not everybody's going to go do it. That's okay. We're playing a numbers game here. We want a lot of people signing up and we want a lot of people referring, right? That's the goal. Now, I'm not going to go through the design templates because that's what you're displaying to them to get them to opt in and to do the sharing. But what we are going to do is do some testing. Larry says, we need to make sure our signups understand that they get so many more points than just the first points. Exactly. Exactly, Larry. Lenny says, do you have a process to figure out the best point amounts? Great question, Lenny. Lenny's always full of great questions. Such a good supporter. Thank you, Lenny. No, this is also part of your lifetime of testing UpViral, and it depends on what your results are, etc. I tend to put big points in here. I'm going to keep my mouth shut to some degree. There are some reasons why you want them small. There are some reasons why you want them big. There are some people who advocate that all of them are the same. So this would be 50, this would be 50, that'd be 50, that'd be 50, this would be 50. And all of the custom actions would be 50. There are some potential legal reasons for doing that. I'm not here to teach you about the law. Every country is different. Brandon has a great question. Is there an advantage to having these large point values as opposed to 1 point, 5 points, and onesies down here? Let me ask you the question. Let me put it back to you, Brandon. What would you rather see? If you were signing up for my contest to win a lifetime of UpViral, like UpViral just did, do you want 1 point for every referral, or do you want 500 points for every referral? Brandon says lots. Exactly. When I first started building UpViral campaigns, I gave 1 point for sign up and I gave I gave 5 points for referrals. And I saw how it went. The next campaign I did 1 point for sign up and I did 10 points for referrals. Eventually I had a client that said, holy cow, Mitch, 10 points works great. What if we did 20? I said, okay, let's try it. Right? So we started doing 20. Then I did 50. Then I did 100. This campaign, the client decided they wanted to go big. They wanted people to really be incentivized to refer others. So they chose 500. Just calm myself down. I get so excited about this stuff. So it's up to you. And as Jan said, or Jan, apologize if I butcher that. Yes, it also gives you room to play. Now, in one of the campaigns that I have seen out on the web, they were giving 100,000 entries for every referral. You give them away like they're candy, right? You don't care. You as a campaign owner do not care how many entries you give away. And notice I'm saying entries and points. Most people understand a points game, but I've also seen that many people grasp it if they understand that those are entries. So I often tell my students, replace the word points with entries, like Steve just said. Steve from Thailand said entries. If they understand, then they're more likely to go, holy crap, I'm getting more chances to win if you're doing a contest. The answer is yes, they get excited by that. Johan says 1 to 10 equals 50 to 500. Both give 10 times more points per referral. But 500 seems much more for the contestant. Yes. They don't understand. You're right. They don't understand. They want to feel like they're getting big bucks, right? They want to, if you watch Let's Make a Deal or any of these game shows, they want the big bucks, right? Big bucks, big win. They want the big stuff. And so some people will mentally make the math and they'll go, 1 to 10 is the same as 50 to 500, right? But most people just go, I want the big bucks. I want the big stuff. Brandon says, I only have one incentive, one grand prize. I'm planning to spin the wheel on my live stream to pick the winner. I don't want people to be on the wheel unless they got at least one referral, or should I make it 2 or 5? I'm going to caution you to check the laws. I don't know what country you live in, Brandon, but you have to be very careful about having requirements in order to pick a winner. The government of the United States does not like you, does not like it when a contest says, oh, we got 500 people who entered, but only this small little subset get to win the big prize. The law does not like that because that's unfair. It's not fair. You need to have at least 2 prizes in my book, or you need to let everybody be eligible. I love the idea from the contest owner side to say, all right, look, I only want people that have referred somebody to win. Careful of the laws. I am not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV. So I'm not telling you how to do it. I am warning you that there are laws involved here and you need to be careful. Now, one of the other tools that I am currently testing, and I won't say which because we're here on the UpViral show, actually several of them are set up such that they do require a referral to earn points before they're qualified as a referral. That's still legal because the initial points are eligible to win the prize. Okay, so you see contests, for example, like from Omaze. If you've ever seen Omaze, they're advertising a lot. They raise a lot of money for charities, and they do it based on purchases. You can buy 1,000 entries, but they also have the ability to register via a free entry and get 1 single point to be able to be eligible to win the prize. That keeps them within the US laws. And you need to make sure you consider that when you're doing contests. Brandon says, what if everyone gets a spot on the wheel, but each referral gets them another spot? That's what UpViral does. If you have 500 points, you have 500 entries, you have 500 spots on the wheel. Okay. Now, UpViral doesn't have a wheelie tool, but it does take all that into consideration, which is why I have the referral sign up bumped up so high. They have 500 slots for every person they refer on that wheel. This is why also, I'll tell you this. I know I'm getting distracted, but this is valuable stuff. Don't ever, be careful with my words, don't ever pull winners from a spreadsheet. Don't export this and to a spreadsheet and do a random draw off of random.org or something. Unless if somebody has 500 points, they're on the spreadsheet 500 times. UpViral does weighted draws. And yes, Brandon, that's why I call a point an entry. It's a slot on the wheel, to give you the analogy that you're using. It's a row on a spreadsheet. if you want to think of it. So if Betty comes in and has her 50 points for signing up, she's on the spreadsheet 50 times. And the random draw has the ability to pick her 50 times, 1 out of 50, right? I'm going to answer that in a second. If you've got 500 referral points, 500 referral entries, that's 500 entries on the spreadsheet. So you can see how this gets very confusing. I will tell you that I have tested this over and over and over, and UpViral definitely does a qualified 100%. I back their random draw based on referral points because it is weighted. I have tested it. I've spent hours testing this because I want to make sure it's right. So Brandon's question of the day is, can I have UpViral pick the winner live on a live stream? I'm going to go to the winners thing here. There are no leads in this particular campaign. But if you do pick more winners, let's say I'm going to do 1. Here's next. What do you see on the screen, Brandon? Right here. If you do a live draw, and Wilco's even seen this happen to himself in the last UpViral campaign, they did a random draw winner, but they couldn't show the screen because it shows the email address. Steve, let me back up. Yes. One of the features, Brandon says, oh, bummer. One of the features that I have asked for, and if you want it, Brandon, and anybody else, I urge you to send an email to UpViral. They listen, but people have to voice their opinions. And voicing your opinion to me here or on the Facebook group just doesn't cut it. You got to send an email to the UpViral team, and they keep track of this stuff. But if you want a feature, there's also, and I think I don't know, if you go to features.upviral.com, there are things that you can vote on over here, and you can submit ideas. You either send them an email or you send them an idea here, or both. If you think there's a feature that UpViral should have, and I wish that UpViral had a live draw. The other thing that I will tell you, I know Lenny's out there going, here it comes, because Lenny's heard this a million times. I don't ever do a live draw on screen. I don't want to. I used to want to, but too many times UpViral has picked, and they don't know any better, somebody that I consider fraud, that it wasn't flagged as fraud, but I can see that they have brought in a whole bunch of leads that are fake leads. And so I review every winner before I announce them. I will never, ever, ever, I've been burned by this, let UpViral pick live. It's just not worth it. Anyway, Derek says, yes, it's a weighted system, so the more points, the higher chance to win, even though everyone is eligible. However small the chance. Now, I will tell you, if you look at the data like I do, I will tell you, let me go over here. Let me go over to leads. There's 2 leads in this campaign. I highly advise you to look at your stats. Do an export all, or even just look at it here. Because here's what happens. And I'm going to read Steve's comment, because I was talking about the random draw picking. In a campaign, have I proven this? I was talking about the weighted random draw. In a campaign, I had many people with high numbers, but 99% of the 25 winners had very low points. Steve, believe me, I haven't done it in the last year, but believe me, I have spent hours testing this. the random draw winner selection. I have tested it. Unless they've changed something, I have tested it. But here's the key. When you come look at this data, Lenny, what do I tell people? Look at the freaking data. On average, and I have tracked data over my at least 100 campaigns, on average, 60 to 70% of the people entering your campaign want their one chance to win, and that's it. I'm distracted again. That's what they want. They want their one chance to win, and that's it. They're the vast majority of people in your campaign, somewhere between 60 and 70%, depending, will have no additional points. They will do nothing. And yet they still win campaigns. I have seen it over and over and over. I do a draw, and somebody has 1 point or the base number of entries. Happens all the time, but that's because the vast majority of the people in a campaign have not done any work. They don't want to. They want their one chance to win, and off they go to register for something else or do something else in their life. But guess what? You have to look at the data to know that, and I've done that. Larry says, just like UpViral, the more entries to an idea, the more chances we will have to get it to happen. Yes. Yes, it's exactly true. At least you know they didn't cheat. I wish I knew for sure when somebody cheated or not. I have spent weeks looking at least, I mean, I did a campaign recently that I agonized for 2 weeks picking winners because I was looking in very minute detail about their leads, who they referred, how many points they had, blah, 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 blah. I'm very crazy about fraud. And I would love for some fraud detection features to be added to UpViral. But that's Mitch. All right. Go back. Let me know if I've missed anything in the comments. I think I've answered every question. All right. So in terms of testing, I believe I went through all of the stuff last week, all the different things that you should check initially. So the first thing I do in any campaign is I walk through each one of these tabs on the left-hand setup side, and I look at them. Are these the right points for this custom action? Are the colors right? Do they point to the right links? All of these things have to be looked at and tested, and this thing just does not want to scroll down. There's some kind of a bug there, and I hope to get that fixed. All right, now it'll scroll. I double check the points. I also come in here and I click this show additional options because I want to make sure that this is set to 0. Brandon, I'll get to that in a second. Steve says, I also had the scrolling problem. Report it. If you have a problem, if you see a problem, please, 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 please report it. Because if they don't know about it, and Lenny and my students will tell you, I do plenty of complaining and I don't report some things. But to some degree, I get a deaf ear sometimes because it's like, oh, that's Mitch. Report problems. Please make the time to report problems. All right, so make sure this is 0. Don't let this slide in to be 1 point. I've seen some people actually hide that or do that. Be careful. You don't, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but you don't want points for visits. You just don't want it. It's still there. I've convinced them to hide it, but you don't want it 99% of the time. Look at your design templates. Make sure you have the right ones turned on. If you have multiple ones, we're going to get into split testing a little bit later. I'm going to get to it, I promise you. But make sure you have the right templates if you have more than one turned on. Don't delete templates, by the way, if you want to do split testing, and we're going to get to this, but don't delete them. Just turn them off. That's this little switch right here. They don't take up any space. They may clutter your mind a little bit, but you'll see over here on the right-hand side, we have a whole bunch of different versions. Make backups if you want. Save ones to see what you changed before and after. There's nothing wrong with having multiple versions of these pages. You just have to make sure which one is turned on, or multiples. In this case, there's only one sharing page turned on. There's only one landing page turned on, opt-in page. Please make sure you have the right image over here and the right text over here. Don't forget that there's a Twitter function here. Make sure you put in your username if there is a Twitter handle. Make sure you have hashtags if you're doing Twitter. Make sure that you have this email set up and customized for your campaign. Do not use the default UpViral email. It's not very pretty. It's not very descriptive. You will be surprised how many people actually do this. Oh, email's dead. Nobody does email anymore. Yes, they do. They email their friends, and these emails convert highly because they're one-on-one recommendations. Make sure you edit this. Email notifications. Brandon asked, how many versions of the welcome email can I have? So, great question. In the email notifications, we have 4 default emails here at the beginning, and if you have incentives or rewards, as they used to be called, they are listed here. You can turn them on and off. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but you could theoretically send these from your autoresponder if your autoresponder does tagging. There's a whole conversation we had there, but you can have multiple versions of these. We're going to talk about split testing, but here's a split test. Every email can be split tested. So let's go back to Brandon's question. Darmood says, no time to take more notes. It is so fast. Another domain to be watched again. Yes, I got a lot of ground to cover here. And this, like I said, is important stuff. If you click, this is turned on. Notice, by the way, be very careful because by default, this send grand prize to email window is always turned on when you create a new campaign. Make sure you turn that off. Do not send automatic emails to prize winners, please. I've talked about that before. Make sure that's turned off. Just do it. Send them manual emails from your personal account. Please don't let UpViral do it. All right. So let's suppose Brandon's question, how many versions of welcome email can I have? I'm going to click edit. Here's split test. Split test, split test, split test, split test, split test, split test. It keeps going. You can have as many different freaking versions as you want. Okay? That's the joy of split testing. Larry says, didn't we receive an email about this UpViral show? Email isn't dead. Yes, you are right. Thank you very much, Larry. Brandon says, yes, with 4 bangs on the end. You can put as many split test emails as you want. Okay? I've never tried going beyond like that. It's too much to consider. All right. So you're checking all of these emails when you're testing, and you can do this. You can do send test email. Notice I didn't do a save, so those split tests didn't get saved. Claudia says, how many split test emails do you advise? Many as your brain can retain. I advise you to just be simple and do 2. We're going to get to split testing a little bit more in a few minutes, hopefully. If I can get some stuff done here. But try not to do more than 3. because your brain just has a hard time. And unless you're getting a stink load of traffic, like thousands of people coming in, when you do split testing, I'll say it now, you want a lot of data to come through. What I've seen in split tests is that, let's say I just have 2 versions of an email, and one will be getting a ton more conversions than the second one. But maybe there's only 30 people that have seen both. And I let it go until there's several hundred, and then they almost even out. Small numbers are disadvantageous. Small numbers aren't so good. What you want is the bigger numbers if you can. Would we keep up with these emails in UpViral, Kiki asks, or is it better to keep up with them in their autoresponder? I use ActiveCampaign. This split testing in ActiveCampaign is much harder to do than it is in UpViral. I would advise you to do it in UpViral if you can. It's one of the joys of UpViral, and you're not paying extra for it like most of the other tools do. They charge you a stink load for split testing. All right, we've kind of jumped into split testing a bit, but see, there's a split test section up here, right? Let me just jump into that, and I'm going to come back to actually do some real testing here in a second. But this says no split test created. Why is that? Anybody want to tell me why? Didn't you see on the opt-in, there were 2 pages in the opt-in? There were 6 or 8 pages on the design, on the sharing page. Why does this say no split tests? Anybody? What's switched off, Steve Thailand? This? Split tests? Anybody? You were close, Steve. The other pages, you are correct. So if I go to design template, Johan, good idea, but that's not correct. It has nothing to do with whether the split test, or whether your campaign has data. In this particular campaign, I actually have 2 leads. So there is data. There are 2 leads, but you don't see any split tests. You have to turn the pages on. Switch on to include in a split test. It even told you that. That's new. Over here, you can see switch on to include the page in split test. So if you don't have the pages turned on, and I urge you to click the save button, because I've seen that auto save, not save. Click the save button. When I come over here to split tests, notice those are now listed here. Okay. You with me? Everybody with me? You got to have multiple pages turned on. And this is why I told you not to delete the pages on the design template section, because you can turn them on and off here. There is also the capability here of doing pick as winner and still have them both show up as turned on, or 3 or 4, over in the design template. But that's okay. But this is where you see the data. This is where you see the conversion rates, right? And you see here that this first one, they're already tracking it, right? The data is tracked, even though I didn't have that other page turned on. So this one has a head start because it had 12 visitors and 2 leads. This is awesome stuff. Now, since we're here, everybody that does split testing will tell you, do not do this. I'm going to turn, it doesn't matter. Don't do this, right? I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you see it. These 2 versions, excuse me, these 2 pages are vastly different. Split testing involves tiny, minor, little changes, because you cannot tell the difference really between this page and this page, because they are so vastly different. The wording's different. The pictures are different. Yes, there's a section that says leaderboard, that's the same, but it's different colors. You're not going to know what's converting better than the other if you've got major changes. Take a page like this, duplicate it, and change one, maybe two things. Change some words, change the picture, put a video instead of a picture, split test that for a while. Find out which one is the winner, let it run for enough data, and I don't know what the answer is on enough data until you're comfortable, and let it run till you see a difference. Take the winner, do this, clone the winner, turn the other one off, the loser, turn it off here. Change the name, by the way, because if you notice, what I'm going to do is, this is turned off, bless their hearts, UpViral, listen to me. Made those be off by default. I'm going to come up here and do a save. When you go to the split test, if you don't have a difference in title here, it can be very confusing. Because now they both say the same thing. Which one is which? Okay, so they're both cloned. The second one is a clone of the first one. And UpViral always keeps them in order based on the way you see them on the other page. But it is important to change that title. If you're careful. All right. Everybody with me? The caveat to that is that this title is visible. Thank you, Larry, for the response. This title is visible in the tabs. So you cannot make it just say clone 1, clone 2, clone 3, blah, 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 because the users can see it. These tabs will have those titles in them. So please be careful with what you're doing here. I'll give you an example. No, I want to leave that there. So I'm going to go to, no, not that one, sorry. I'm not going to explain a whole lot about what I was doing in this. It's a whole nother topic outside of the Copilot show. But this campaign, I was split testing 3 different pages. The only difference between these pages, other than this title, which appears up in the tabs, is that the pages were identical. Lenny says, where is the workbook for this class? I ain't got one because we're doing it on the fly, Lenny, you smarty pants. This particular page was the opt-in form. This version of the page was the single button with the pop-up opt-in form. This version of the page is the Facebook button opt-in only. Because what I wanted to do in this particular test was to see which one of those converted better, if they did, whether it was just the opt-in form on the page, the opt-in form in the pop-up, or the Facebook opt-in. And you can see that the Facebook opt-in did not convert very well. Now, I did turn that off for a couple of days. Brandon says, thank you for the guidance. Got to go. You're welcome, Brandon. Make sure you watch the replay because we're going to keep going. So don't trust that this data is valid for your campaign. Test it yourself. It's very easy to go into the opt-in pages and do a split test. You just saw me create a split test. I'm going to make it smaller now so I can see it. If I go into this template, right, it's exact clone of the other one. But see, this one has a pop-up, and maybe I want to test the Facebook opt-in. So I'm dragging the Facebook opt-in on, I'm deleting this. And now I have a split test. The pages are identical except for that one thing. Now, I'm going to do exit. I'm going to do save and exit. In this particular case, now I have two versions of that same page. The only difference is the button or the opt-in format. Y'all with me? What I would likely do would be to come in here and edit this and just simply say something like, oops, space Facebook opt-in or something, so that I can see when I do the split test and I do save. Thank you, Francisco, for answering me when I asked the question. Thank you, I appreciate it. So if I come over here to the split tests, now you'll see that those two pages, I can see that this is the Facebook opt-in very easily. Nestor has to jump on a client call. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And now it is 10 o'clock. It is an hour into the live stream. Let's see. Oh, there's the participants. We have 28 people here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. So we kind of dove into split testing before I was really, really ready, but you get the idea, right? So on the split test, on the share pages, we have two different split tests. Mike James, bless your heart. Thank you for saying that. Mike, for the recording. Mike said, you're a great tutor. I appreciate that, Mike. You're welcome to come talk to me anytime you want, because I love compliments. Yay. So let's go back, by the way, to, since we're on split testing, let's go to the email notifications. I don't do the split tests often enough on emails. I really need to do this more. Split testing is so freaking awesome. Lenny will tell you that we do a lot of split tests on landing pages and stuff. So what I'm going to do, now it does not automatically clone this for you. Might be nice if it did, but I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do split test, and we're going to just say, welcome, blah, 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 can't type. And then I'm going to paste the stuff down here. So now we have a second email, and I'm going to do save. Is it going to be over here? Let's hope so. Look at that. Email stats. Pop that open. Now we have two different emails. And it's split, by the way, based on which email is going out. So you don't see all of them in one spot. There will be a separate section here for each email. Each email you are doing a split test for. Guess what? You're paying nothing extra for this in UpViral. Let me make sure. Up.pricing. I don't remember because I bought a lifetime license decades ago. So I apologize. I keep forgetting this. If you're on the starter plan, split testing is not included. It becomes included in the business plan. So I need to make sure I highlight that. So yes, you are paying a little bit more for split testing. Many of the other tools force you to go way up to the premium side of things. UpViral doesn't do that, but you do have to be on the business plan to get split testing, and I highly advise it. It is well worth the extra $30 a month or whatever it is if you're on the monthly. If you can do yearly, it's $20 a month. Highly advise this split testing feature because it gives you so much data. You get to find out what's working and what's not working in your campaign and improve, which is what you want, right? All these white screens and I'm so washed out. I need to put up a black screen here. So anyway. Okay, any questions on split testing? Anybody? Let me know if you have any questions. I think it's fairly obvious from what we've talked about here. You can split test the congeebers out of emails, landing pages, and opt-in pages. I hear a question from the peanut gallery. Can we test domains? No, you can't split test domains. If that's what you're asking, Lenny. But I do hear a question from the peanut gallery. So what about social appearance? Can we split test this? I always hear this question. I know somebody out there is thinking about this. The answer is no. We cannot split test this social sharing. The problem is, and I argued with Wilco probably remembers this. Oh, Lenny, yeah, no, we haven't really done any testing, Lenny. We haven't really done the testing part. I've talked about what to test, but we haven't really done it. Derek's got to go. Fun to test, to join you today, Mitch. It doesn't happen often. You're a good teacher, and I appreciate your time and efforts with these. You're welcome, Derek. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. Great question, Kiki. All right. Let's see. Let me finish this, Kiki, and I'll get you to that one. All right. The deal is, and I started saying, Wilco and I talked about this 3 or 4 years ago, and I argued with him that there had to be a way to split test this image and this text. And it turns out there's absolutely not. There isn't a way to make it happen, although I kind of sort of came up with an idea, and I haven't pushed back on this idea yet. It wasn't possible. I don't know. It just, trust me right now, I don't want to take the time to go into the possible idea because I haven't even tried it myself. But right now it is not possible. The only thing you can do is to have a specific image, say at the beginning of a campaign, and then a week later, try a different image or a different set of text. One thing that I do know people have done, and they advocate if you're running Facebook ads, is to test this image as a Facebook ad. There are people that will test an image or text by doing multiple Facebook ads to see which one converts better, and then use that one for the social sharing. Darmood's basically said the same thing. Facebook Creator Studio is really pushing testing now. Can we use that for social sharing, perhaps? The only difference, I think, is depending upon whether you do the same size image. It depends, but yes, you could definitely split test Facebook ads and determine which one is winning, and then use that one here. Highly advised that idea. Mike James says, great idea. It is a great idea. And it's not mine. I won't take credit for that one. I'll just tell you that I stole it. I think I actually stole it from Wilco. I don't really remember. It was either him or probably Bradley Waldrop. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. One thing I will also tell you on this page, and I'm going to beg them yet again, this should be 1200 by 628, not 600 by 314. If you do 600 by 314, it's going to be slightly pixelated. Please do double that. All right, so in terms of split testing, though, you can split test all of the design templates. You can split test all of the email notifications. Those are the only things other. I just thought of this. You could actually split test the actions, the custom actions, if you really wanted to play a game, by doing separate design templates, the different sharing templates, turning buttons on and off that way. You could do that. You don't want to split test the points in a specific campaign. You can't change those. They're global. But you could actually split test the incentives, and you could split test the custom actions if you wanted to. So yeah, I thought of something I'd never thought of before. Darmood said ads and posts on Facebook. Yeah, you could do posts. You could do posts. In terms of doing Facebook posts, the only thing you're going to see are likes and comments, right? You won't see the kind of detail I think you see in a Facebook ad, but yes, you could go that route. So in terms of what you can split test, I think that kind of sort of covers everything in split testing. Now, what I also advise you to do when you're doing testing, and I'm going to get back to the actual testing part, and that is to come in here and grab this promote link. And right now you see that it does not have a custom domain, but Lenny pointed out that if you are doing custom domain, you darn well, and you should be doing custom domain, you darn well better test it under a custom domain. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that link. Now, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to come down here, and if you haven't seen the custom tracking, do this. We're going to put on here, we're going to call this Copilot. And I'm going to create a custom tracking link. I'm going to copy that instead of this one. Okay, now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this campaign and I'm going to reset my stats because I'm going to do some testing and I want to be sure we're starting clean so I can see all the results. So I'm going to do yes. I'm going to get rid of all that stuff. Now, it does not remove leads. Those are still here. And you remember we did a little bit of testing last week, but we're going to test it again. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to, we'll do it new. Because I think we actually did this, and I apologize because there are parts of things that I don't remember. It happens. It happens when you get old like me. Any guesses as to how old I am, by the way? Larry asks, what if when you test on a post, you send them to a different shortened links that you can see how many people are clicking on? That's what custom tracking is for, Larry. That's what custom tracking is for, which is what I'm going to show you now. Johan says 25, Steve says 88. That is quite a difference. Mike James says young. Lenny says definitely 34. Thanks, Lenny. It's funny. All right, so you remember last week, actually, I guess we didn't really test it. So this is, please don't anybody steal these email addresses. These are people that are registering for my lists and stuff, right? Paul says, UpViral vampire, meaning immortal. Yeah, thank you, Paul. But I bring up my autoresponder because we want to make sure that works, right? So I cleared the stats, right? These all say 0. There's nothing down here. The leads are still there, but I'm going to go over here because I don't remember whether this campaign is set up to send to my autoresponder or not. So I'm going to check this. It says my active campaign. It's going, I'm going to put it in the old contest list. you can put in tags. By the way, I highly advise you to tag things if your autoresponder uses them. We have one of my mastermind members that is using a tool that the tags are not working. We spent extensive time testing that and reported stuff viral because the tags aren't working. I'm going to do Copilot test. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do incentive tag 1. Obviously, you would name them whatever you want to name them. By the way, the answer to the trick question of how old I am is 64. Isn't that a Beatles song? When I'm 64. Isn't that what it is? All right, so I'm going to save that. So we are sending people over to my old contest list in my active campaign. Lenny says, definitely a Toys R Us kid. But if you know what a Toys R Us kid is, that might give it away. Paul says, will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? Isn't that right? Who sings that song? My kids wouldn't know that. I am dating myself. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a full-blown test here, right? I have tags. I have a list selected. I have incentives for that. Remembering that the incentives, this one, it takes 1,000 points. So we're going to test for that. Everything's set up. So I am going to, as I did before, I came over here. Let's see. So I've grabbed this link, right? This tracking link. Where did my tracking links go? Here they are. Now this answering the question that Larry said before, what if when you test a post, you send them to different shortened links? This is what UpViral does for you, custom tracking down here. You would post a custom tracking link for post 1, post 2, post 3, whatever short URL, you do it right here. UpViral does this for you. Do custom tracking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my incognito window app. I have an app that I've built that does incognito window stuff. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to paste. Now, this is one of the things I do when I test because I love to test. It's from the Beatles. Johan says, yay, Johan gets the win. It is the Beatles. Just checking to see if anybody's paying attention. All right, so reports, visits, 0, direct lead, 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do track equals Copilot. Okay. Now guess what? I'll come back over here. There will be a visit here. Direct visit 1. Woohoo! Traffic source, Copilot. This is how I do my testing, I swear. Lenny will tell you this is how we do testing in the mastermind. All right. It's not a lead yet because I haven't signed up, right? Now, we do have 2 leads in here, but those don't count. This is only tracking new stuff. I didn't delete the leads, but I reset all the stats. Everybody with me? So if I go to traffic, you will see there is 1 visit from the custom tracking link of Copilot. So I come back to my incognito. Oh, shoot. I got the one that's the Facebook opt-in. I don't remember my Facebook opt-in password, so I have to come over here to 1Password. I love 1Password. I want to search for Facebook. I have a cat ID and I have my ID. I'm going to paste in my password, login. All right, so UpViral is using my Facebook login to come over here And I will get to the sharing page eventually, but that's not the key, because over here in the stats, and I do a refresh, you'll see there's a direct lead. Direct lead, no tracking ID. Uh-oh. We learned something. This is why Mitch tests this stuff. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? What did we learn? What did we just learn there? Steve says because of incognito, no. Good try, Steve. Good try. See, this is, you learn all kinds of stuff when you pay attention. My guess, anybody else with a guess? Mike James says you used the UpViral link, not the Facebook one. We missed something, is what I learned. Larry, nice one, Larry. I ran it, I did the code, I'll back up. I went to the incognito window. In the incognito window, because we're doing a split test, it showed me the version with the Facebook opt-in. So the visit was tracked, but then I had to go to the Facebook to log in to the Facebook, and it looks like UpViral lost the tracking ID when I became a lead because of that Facebook login. I can't prove that right this second, but I think that's what happened. Is that a bug? I don't know. One of the questions I've always had is how could we track who logged in with Facebook and who didn't? But we can't see that data anywhere. But it looks like that I would call that a bug, yes, but I don't know that UpViral can track those with the tracking link. It's certainly something I'm going to pay attention to going forwards. It did capture the lead, right? We have one lead, we have one visit, got 100% conversion. Woohoo! What a campaign. But we're learning things. It should be a session cookie. I don't know about that, Johan. Well, I mean, I could try it without an incognito window, but I didn't switch anything. There are no extra windows here, but it does have something to do with the Facebook opt-in. The Facebook login, I bet you. Because if I quit my incognito window, I shouldn't have done that. Because what I also am going to do, let's just go check, right? So this is my Facebook ID. Notice it got my picture from my Facebook. Here's my referral link. So I was going to copy this and test the points for referrals, but I forgot. But I can always get to it back here in the details inside of UpViral. So again, what we're doing is we're testing. We're making sure the points are working. We're making sure that referrals work. I got 50 points for the sign up, which is correct. Haven't done anything else. I killed the copilot or the session, the incognito window session. But watch this. I'm going to show you a trick that you probably never would have thought of. I'm going to open my incognito window again. So let's suppose that I want to get back to the spot where I could count the points, right, for testing the other buttons. My incognito window is on my other monitor. Here it is. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm not going to go there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Promote tab. And I'm going to grab this one-click sign up. We talked about this last week as well. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to put in my email that I registered with before. So even though I closed my incognito window, guess what? I can get back to it this way. Anybody surprised? Anybody going, holy crap, Mitch, I never thought you could do that. So let's go over to UpViral. let's go back to reports. I'm going to hit refresh. I don't know whether I'm going to have an extra visit or not. I do. So UpViral did count an extra visit for that. That's okay. But my conversion rate just dropped. So, okay. Learning anything here? All right. So over here, we do have all kinds of buttons on this page, right? And way down here are the social sharing buttons. So here's the Facebook one, right? As you remember, if you were here last week, you should pay attention. If you've never noticed this before, somebody tell me whether or not I've gotten any points for the Facebook button. When you're testing, Larry says nope. Paul says nope. Thank you, both of you. It shows 100 points here, so I have not collected those points. We obviously saw that over on the UpViral side. But you could always tell if a user shows you these buttons, you could see whether or not they've earned those points, because UpViral will tell them that. So I'm going to do this. Y'all know that UpViral is going to go ahead and give me those points eventually for clicking the button, and that's a Facebook API issue. It's not an UpViral problem. All the other tools have this problem as well. And that should dynamically go away after a few seconds. It's not seeming to go away. There it is. I had to close the window. All right, so now Mitch has collected those points. I can come back over here, go to leads, and notice that my Aunger@mac.com, which is my Facebook login, has 150 points. And you see that I got the Facebook share here. This is how you check all of these points. Okay, we're doing live testing here. We're also remembering that the rewards, even though they're not sorted by reward, they're not sorted by points, they're sorted by title. So this Rainmaking 101 is the first one, and I got to get it to 1,000 points to be able to collect that. I haven't collected it yet, so because it doesn't say unlocked. But we got to test this, right? We got to test that people get the stuff. All right, so I'm giving myself 500 points when I refer somebody. So let me go back to my incognito window. I'm trying to decide what I want to do, because I know if I do one of these functions, I can get 1,000 points right off the bat. Because this one does 1,000 points. Now let's just go do that. We're here. Instructions. Did you see our VIP option for $49? Blah, blah, blah. So I can click this, and that would take me to another page. It would take me to another page. Why did it not take me to another page? Huh. Because the link is wrong. That is interesting. I'm looking at the link in the lower left corner. For testing, can't you just change the number of points? Great question, Steve from Thailand. Anybody? Anybody that knows, loves, and trusts me? Johan says no. Steve says yes. Let's find out. I don't know why, but this is going to the wrong link. And so what I need to do is come back over here, and I would need to look. So this is testing, right? I found out that there's a problem, and so that's not where the problem is. The problem is on that button, the 1,000-point button. Where's the 1,000-point button? Oh, the refresh problem. Johan says you don't know if the other points distribution works as expected. You are correct. You don't. The only way to know for sure is if you test. Register for our VIP. I don't want to click that. I want to edit the action. And notice what happened. This is what you will find out when you do testing. What happened is that I cloned this campaign from the client's account. I copied it over, but I didn't come in and I didn't put URLs in here. So I'm just going to grab one of my other URLs. I'm going to click update. And I'm going to do, I don't have to do all the other things. I'm just going to close this. And so now if I come back over to my incognito window and I do a refresh and I click this, I'm actually going to go somewhere, going to go to a URL, right? Close the page, come back. Did I do this? I'm going to put my email address in there. I'm going to do confirm. And now I'm going to have those 1,000 points. All right, we still haven't answered Steve's question yet. I'm going to come back over to UpViral. I'm going to go to leads. Sorry, not winners, but leads. Mitch Aunger at Mac.com now has 1,000 points, 1150. And notice that this Rainmaking 101 checklist was unlocked at 1,000 points. So that works. If I had an email set up to go out, an email would go out. Okay. Now, Steve's question is what happens? Where's my UpViral? What happens? I'm going to show the incentives. I'm in the wrong campaign, Mitchell. Switch to the unlikely hero imported, set up incentives. So this one, grounding visualization MP3 sends out at 2,000 points. Okay, so Steve's question, for testing, can't you just change the number of points? Johan said no. Steve said yes. Anybody else with a guess? Because what happens if I make myself the Aunger at Mac.com? What if I make that be 2,100 points manually? Will this be unlocked? Darmood says no. Anybody else with a guess? Will that be unlocked? Johan says, I think yes. Larry says, my guess, I don't know. Let's test. Brilliant. All right, so let me come back here. I'm going to come back over to my incognito. No, I'm not going to come there. I'm going to go to the leads. Where's my leads tab? Here's my leads for Mitch. Total 1,150. So how do I get this to 20? Johan says yes, I think. Okay. I'm going to just manually add 1,000 points here to get me to 2,150, right? That'll get me over the top. So I'm manually adding 1,000 points. Mitch now has 2,150. I'm going to refresh just to be sure, but you see this is not unlocked here. Things refreshed back here in the back, but I'm going to hit refresh just to see. I'm going to click this, and you're going to see, if I sort this by rewards, groundbreaking visualization value $200 is not unlocked. I come back here, and it's the same one, groundbreaking visualization. I'm going to hit refresh here. And you're going to see unlocked is still 0. Unlocked is 1 for the Rainmaking 101 checklist, which is what we saw. So just changing points does not trigger these things. Anybody surprised? Could have gone either way, really. The programmers just made a decision that those things don't happen if you manually update the points. You've got to earn them. Okay. What if you up the points for the rainmaking list in the lead? Nope. Updating the points in the lead does nothing for these incentives. Larry says you didn't go through the system. Good to know. That's correct. That's a different way of putting it. I can give people the points and they can see their extra points. But also, if I come back over here to the incognito window, right, I'm going to refresh this. You're going to see that I have 2150 points. But you're also going to see that none of these points down here changed because all I did was manually add some points. You cannot manually give somebody credit for doing this thing. Well, I take that back. I'll take that back. Let's try that, right? All right, so this one says, signed up to get our text reminders. Now, I will tell you that in the old UpViral, you could do this. In the new UpViral, you can't. All right, so if I go to, now that is the 800 points thing is in here somewhere, right? I don't remember what color that was. 800 points. Anybody see it? There it is. Sign up to get our text reminders. That's 800 points. If I come over here, you see that the only things listed under reward points are things that they have actually done. So I could give them another 800 points here under the other button, but until they actually click on it and do it, they don't show up here. Now, in the previous version of UpViral, I simply bring this up because I used to do this all the time. I could come in and I could type that they are all listed here. They used to be all listed here, whether they earned them or not. And you could edit the number of points for that particular function and give them the points, and it would show up on the other page. I can't do it here because I don't have that button, that custom action listed here. Can I click on unlock? Sure, I can unlock this. Absolutely, I can do that. Great idea, Steve. I'm going to hit refresh because I didn't do what I thought it was going to do. I'm going to click on my name. I'm going to come over here and notice that that is unlocked. It doesn't record, at least I see that myself. It's unlocked. Hopefully the email went out. I don't know that I've ever tested that. I'm about to sneeze, potentially. So yes, you unlocked it, but they didn't get any credit for that button, right? We didn't actually click a button to get that. I just clicked on unlock. So there was no, I was kind of sort of thinking, but of course that's not going to happen because there's nothing to show up over here. And it just dawned on me that my Halo's gone. So I would also check to see if the email went out. I'm not going to go do that right now, but you obviously want to check that the emails are coming through and that the emails look right. Larry says, this means you can't game the system for yourself or your friends. It makes it hard, yes. I bet I could still game it somehow, but I don't want to do that because I want to be fair. I want other people to win. I don't want my friends to win. That would be cheating. We don't like cheaters. Steve says, nice little trick to get people to think that something went astray and they're getting something for free. Handy for memberships, etc. Yeah, you could do that. Interesting point. Interesting point. Great thoughts, people. I love what you're thinking. All right, what I'm going to try to do is wrap this up in some kind of way. Other than we haven't really talked about the fraud thing yet, right? Now, at some point, Mitch is going to get in trouble for fraud. I don't need that open. I'm going to click here, and we're going to look at the fraud detection. Now, if you remember, we talked about this last week. I think we did. In the setup, you can automatically, in the advanced section, under general setup, automatically deactivate fraudulent leads. At some point, I'm going to get in trouble with UpViral because I'm registering from the same IP address, right? So let me come over here and close my incognito, clear out the cookies and stuff. I'm going to launch my incognito window again. If I can type. And I still have, it always opens in the wrong screen. I can still come up here because I grabbed the URL for the referral. I can come in here and I could register again. Now, have you all seen the CAPTCHA when people are registering from the same IP address? If you've seen that, hopefully you have. I'm going to click save here just for fun. Let's see, I'm going to go to my dashboard. Sorry, I'm going to go to settings. Inside your settings, you can whitelist your IP address. Now, my IP address is already whitelisted, either as for dot thing or one of these newfangled IP addresses. I've done it both ways. If your IP address is not whitelisted, it will show down here, and you can click add, and it will add it to this list. I've already done that, so I can't show you. What this does is whitelist IPs that you don't want blocked by our anti-spam CAPTCHAs, won't show, etc. This does not prevent you from showing up, however, on the fraud detection. You get past the CAPTCHA, but you can still show up in the fraud detection. We've had this happen even recently when I was testing a campaign for one of our members, and we were like, how come people aren't showing up here? And this also is critical because if you are caught in the fraud detection, UpViral won't send you over to active campaign. Now, I have not checked over an active campaign yet, but I always do that, right? I'm going to refresh this list. It is sorted by date descending, date created, date created. Why is my, oh, because I'm sure, I'm sorry. Because we ended up doing the Facebook one, right? The Facebook login. So my Aunger@mac.com is already here, but I should have the tag right here, Copilot test. So testing shows that I did get added to my active campaign, my autoresponder, and I did check that the tag was sent over. And notice incentive tag 1 came over as well because I earned that one. Steve says, I registered for the 1-year UpViral contest. It was actually a lifetime from 3 different emails. Shame on you, Steve. And 1 IP address. Everything continued as normal. No fraud. Now, they may have turned the fraud detection off, right? So in the setup, you could theoretically have the general setup. You could have the automatically deactivate turned off. In the emails, you could have send email on possible fraud turned off. I see what you were saying, though. You should have potentially gotten the CAPTCHA. I don't know. I have not tested. I've tested other clients' campaigns, but theoretically, you should have at least seen the CAPTCHA. Steve from Thailand. Oh, that was in regards to the autoresponder. I got the naughty boy emails, but also all other emails to follow. That means they did not have, they had this turned on, but under the advanced, they did not have automatically deactivate turned on. That should have prevented any emails from coming, but I rarely turn this on because it's a pain in the butkus to go check for fraud and turn people on and validate them and all that other stuff. I hardly ever turned it on. I hardly ever turn it on. So they probably had it set up that way. Okay, there's a lot of stuff to test, right? We should be testing these switches. We should be testing the deactivate fraudulent leads. We haven't tested everything we could test, but what I got to wrap it up at some point. We're already an hour and 45 minutes in on the session number 2 on testing. But this is important to note, by the way, that you can end up in this fraud list. And if you're on this fraud list, the emails won't go to your autoresponder. Let's make part 3. I don't really want to go to part 3. There is something coming up next week that I am not teaching. Let's see, I can do this. Test. I'm checking. You can't see what I'm doing here, but I'm checking. There is a live interview with somebody next week, and on October 6th, there is going to be something special. Cool. See, I need to look at the schedule. All right. But fraud detection, you can get stuck in fraud detection and be aware that you could have your leads over here that are not being sent to your autoresponder, and you would have to check them if you've got that automatic thing turned on. There's a lot of stuff to test. But I highly advise you to test all these things at least once. I'm thinking about whether or not we've done anything else. We need to test anything else. I think last week we checked the referral, right? Oh, that's where I started to go. I come over here. Oh, good. I didn't get the Facebook opt-in. So I can put Mitch, and we talked about this last time. And I can do this. Co-pilot child. I'm going to make sure that it's very unique. So you remember this? We talked about the Gmail. We'll let you do the plus thing. Steve says, I got to go. Elon is picking me up for my space flight. Nice. Thanks for being here, Steve. Ah, look, we got the robot. Oh, finally. I'm not a robot. Let's see, palm trees, palm trees, palm trees. Verify. That wasn't too bad, now was it? All right, so now there's a new Mitch. Let's come back over here to UpViral. Let's look at the reports. We have one referred visit. We don't have any referred leads. Let me refresh that. There it is. One referred lead, one referred visit, 100%. Nice. Things are actually working. Darmood says, thanks, Mitch, I have to go. Well, we're going to wrap this up. So at least we know that we got the 500 points for this. We've checked all that other stuff. If I click here, oh, crap. Kiki says, WordPress split testing. All right. All right, Kiki. So you do see the subscribers here. So they got the 500 points for that. We got the things. We did the locking and all that other stuff. We've tested all that. All right. Split testing. Testing of widgets. Kiki. Bless your heart. I was hoping to get out of here. Maybe that's part 3, widgets. Lenny says, what's coming soon on the dashboard? What he's talking about this. I don't know. I know what it used to be, but long time ago that fell apart, didn't happen. This has been here for quite a while. Somebody needs to ask UpViral what's coming soon. Don't ask me because I don't know. They don't tell me squat. All right, so Kiki, we're going to be really quick about this. Let's see, widgets. This filter is really nice if you have a lot of campaigns like I do. I'm going to do widget, W-I-D-G-E-T. I believe this is the one that I have that tests. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to promote and I'm going to grab this. Yes, this is probably the one I want. I'm going to go to my incognito window. I'm going to paste that in because this is my WordPress site. Paul, got to go. Thanks, Mitch. You're welcome, Paul. Probably everybody's going to drop off at this point. 18 people still here. Great. Widgets. Now, this is a WordPress site. Okay. This is a widget. So the widget part is this pink part. Now, this stuff up here was stuff I was doing with testing. This is text inside of WordPress. So this is not widget stuff. He says, last man standing. Lenny says, come back, Paul. We'll still be here. Nice. So this is just the widget part. Now, one of the things that people get confused with the widgets is the cookie setup. Now, I have multiple pages. We'll see. We'll talk about that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this URL right here for a second. So in this particular campaign, if I come back over here, this is a widget campaign. And if I go to the design template, you'll see that there are 2 different widgets in place, right? Am I on the right one? Let's see, Copilot demo. This doesn't look like the right page. Traffic guy lead page. Let me come back to the dashboard. See, I've got 2 of them. That's the problem. Here's where we are. Larry says, I'll have to see you on the replay. Thank you very much. You're welcome. All right, so if we go to setup and we go to design template, you'll see that this is the widget that we see over here, right? Pink, purplish. Now, If I turn this on, because I also have a split test, right? But let me do it the right way. I'm going to clone this. And it is off by default, which is good. That gives you time to edit and make sure that it's the way you want it to be. I'm just going to simply take this and make it be a different color. And I'm going to do save. Now these you'll see are the old these are the old templates. This is not the new template editor. That's okay. Doesn't matter. You can still split test the old stuff. Now, if I come over here to my incognito window and I refresh, I may or may not get a difference. And my belief is that UpViral will show the same widget in an incognito window until the cows come home. Because you see I'm doing a refresh and I'm not getting the new one, right? Did I turn it on? I didn't turn it on, did I? Somebody needs to slap me because I didn't turn it on. There we go. Okay, so I was wrong. Mitch learns stuff as we do testing now. It used to be that they would not show the different ones, but now you do. All right. So this is how you split test the widget. We still see split tests over here under split tests. You see that we have one visit. I didn't give it a different name, but you can tell that this one has a whole bunch of visits and this one has a brand new one. So it's the same thing as the hosted landing pages. There really isn't any different. It's not registering a visit for me. Any suggestions? Let me ask you this. So when you do the setup and you go to the installation tab, did you do all three of these steps? I'm sorry, we're on a widget. You grabbed this code just like that, right? We might have to get on a call, Kiki, or something. But theoretically, all you'd have to do is grab this code. I'm going to go to my WordPress site. Had my dev do it, she says. So all that I did inside of here, if I go to pages and I go to my widget lead page and I do edit, you'll see that all I did was I grabbed that iframe code exactly from UpViral from down here and I pasted it in my page. Now, I did it under the text option. I'm not using the new Cornerstone block editor or whatever they call it. I used the old editor and I pasted in that iframe code right there. That's all I did. This is why I have my testing in WordPress, because then I don't have to match it up to a landing page builder like ClickFunnels. But it's very simple. The testing is virtually the same, right? Testing is virtually the same. Now, the one thing to be careful of is the cookie setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this, and that was my test. I'm going to just put in this because we know it already exists. Isn't the Copilot show great? So it takes me over here to the sharing page. And this is the thing to be careful about with the cookies, right? So I'm in the same browser. Come on, Mitchell. And if I use the URL that I had before with the lead page, so notice I'm going back to the lead page. UpViral doesn't redirect me, so I'm on the lead page. It says so right here, but I see the sharing side of the widget because of the cookies. And this confuses a lot of people. Why don't I see the landing opt-in? Because UpViral is using the widget based on cookies. So if you're landing here and you see this and not the opt-in part, it's because the cookies are set. Does that make sense to anybody? Everybody? Anybody that's still here? 2 hours later, 15 people. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. Kiki says I got it. All right. Kind of wrap this up. I mean, it's been so long. All right. That's the vast majority of testing. We've been through a heck of a lot of stuff. Kiki says, thanks, Mitch. You're the best. You're welcome, Kiki. Happy to be here. Happy to help you get your business moving with UpViral and getting all these things tested. Now, part of the thing that we always talk about is I tend to not use the widget because it complicates things. People get confused about that cookie and stuff like that. There's still plenty of things that you can get confused on with the landing pages, but you can do more stuff with the new opt-in pages in UpViral than you ever could before. So we're 2 hours. We're going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. Next week, as I said, do you copy and paste the HTML into UpViral to build it? Do you just copy the HTML into UpViral to build it? I'm not sure I understand that question. You copy and paste the installation code over your WordPress? Yes. There is nothing you copy over from WordPress to UpViral. No, it's going the other way. You're going from UpViral, you're copying the HTML stuff, and you're putting it in WordPress. There's nothing from WordPress that you bring over to UpViral. If you're building a landing page, that's a totally different story. You would build that in UpViral, and you would send people to your UpViral link. And if that's confusing, we can talk about that another day. Mike says, gotta go. Yes, you're welcome. 2 hours is too long. Kiki says next class. All right. Thank you for watching. Next week is going to be potentially an interview. William will be doing that. It's not somebody that I am bringing on, so you will be seeing William next week, unless things change. Thanks for watching. Of course, all the replays are available. Please share this with other folks and all that stuff, and we will catch you again next week. Thanks for tuning in. That's all for now. We will see you soon. Goodbye.